the newborn little daughter, and lay quietly in a soft warm swaddle. With her tiny rosy cheeks and a pair of big, bright pale purple eyes, her whole body seemed to radiate a soft, sweet melt-your-heart charm. Just looking at her quietly was enough to dissolve every bit of irritation and hardness inside you in an instant. It was enough to make your whole heart completely melt from how adorable she was. The two older sisters beside her had long since failed to suppress their curiosity. They eagerly leaned in, their little bodies tilting forward as lightly as they craned their tiny heads. Their round eyes opened wide without even blinking, carefully studying this little sister who had just arrived in the world, full of freshness and curiosity. Little sis is so tiny. Feels like one punch could send her flying really far. Noah said it in a rather serious tone. Hey, sis, don't scare the baby. Muin's gaze rested on the little infant as she added, one punch might not be enough. It'd take two. Leon's gaze was gentle to the extreme. From beginning to end, he stared fixedly at the tiny little one in the swaddle, his eyes brimming with joy and affection, carefully tracing every delicate line of the child's tiny features bit by bit. A daughter is precious. A daughter is wonderful. A daughter is her daddy's little padded jacket. Even though there were already two little padded jackets in the family, not a single father in this world would ever refuse to wear one more. Leon looked calm on the surface, but inside, he was already so overjoyed he wanted to dig Constantine out of his grave and kill him all over again. After hearing Leon's slightly self-admiring speech, his wife wore a faint smile on her face, and Mercil Sly called him out on the spot, her tone light and teasing. But whatever happens, her mouth must not be as stubborn as yours. Stubborn? Since when has my mouth ever been stubborn? Noah Muin, is daddy stubborn? Exposed on the spot without the slightest hesitation by his own two daughters, Leon's face was filled with embarrassment and awkwardness. He froze where he stood and could only hurriedly mutter asmal defense under his breath. You two just don't understand. After the brief awkwardness passed, he quickly turned to look at his new-born youngest daughter in the swaddle. The embarrassment in his eyes instantly faded, replaced by overwhelming tenderness. He carefully bent down closer, as if secretly trying to win over his own exclusive little ally, and softly whispered to the little one who still could not speak. You mustn't go along with them, okay? You'll definitely be on daddy's side in the future, right? He had thought that this gentle little speech would successfully trick his youngest daughter into siding with him. But the moment his words fell, and who had been lying quietly in the swaddle, suddenly had tears well up in her clear eyes. Her eye rims reddened, and in the next second, she burst into loud crying. Her bright yet soft baby wails rose one after another, echoing through the whole room. Leon, who had been full of confidence just a moment ago, instantly panicked. The gentle smile on his face froze at once. Huh? Why is she crying all of a sudden? His wife, however, was not flustered in the slightest. Her expression remained calm and gentle as she slowly stepped forward, stretching out her slender hands to carefully pick up the baby. Her palm softly stroked along the child's fat, her movements patient and tender, as she gently soothed her. There baby, good. Don't cry, don't cry. Before long, the little infant who had been crying non-stop gradually calmed down. Her cries slowly weakened, and she settled down once more. His wife lifted her eyes and looked at Leon, whose whole body was still tense, then gently held out a hand toward him. Do you want to hold her? The moment he heard those words, Leon's face instantly filled with hesitation. His eyes were full of worry as he hurriedly refused, his tone obviously cautious. I just came back from the battlefield. I still smell like blood, my aura is chaotic, and I'm covered in the smoke and hostility of war. If I frightened the baby, that would be bad. Come on, hold her. Under his wife's repeated, gentle and patient persuasion, the worries in Leon shared gradually faded. In their place came nervousness and unease, along with a trace of caution. Okay. His wife was especially careful and thoughtful. Step by step, slowly and patiently, she taught Leon, who had never held a new-born before, how to properly carry a baby, carefully explaining every essential detail. She guided him hand in hand, teaching him how to position his arms and control his strength, warning him carefully the whole time. First support the baby's neck, then use your other hand to support her bottom, and finally let her rest in the bend of your arm. Leon instinctively held his breath. The entire time, he hardly even dared to exhale. Every movement he made was extraordinarily careful. Strictly following his wife's instructions, he slowly stretched out his arms bit by bit, and gently held the child in his embrace. His movements were clumsy yet cautious. In every motion of lifting his hands and wrapping his arms around her was softened, to the utmost degree. Like this? In the very next second, a miraculous and healing scene unfolded. The little baby who had just been crying non-stop, after being securely held in Leon's arms, gradually stopped crying. With her chubby, adorable little face, and quietly nestled in the warm embrace. Her eyes half closed as she felt her father's arms around her. The two older daughters' eyes sparkled. So amazing. As soon as daddy held the baby, she stopped crying. Watching the scene before her, his wife felt endless softness well up in her heart. Her thoughts, unconscious, drifted back to the past, her eyes full of gentle memories. Whenever you cried, and could untap soothed head, I would place you beside your father, and very quickly you'd stop crying. Beside her, Muin tilted her round little head. Her big eyes were full of innocent confusion, as she tilted her head slightly, trying hard to recall it for a long time, but there was not the slightest related memory in her mind. Muin shook her head, and said she didn't remember. The more sensitive older sister, Noah, stood quietly to the side. Looking at the warm scene in front of her, she voiced the true saint feeling in her heart. Maybe it's because daddy gives people a sense of safety. Leon's shirt was instant fly, flooded with surging warmth. He was deeply moved inside, a warmth slowly rising in his chest. In the past he had only occasionally heard Ross Visser mention this, and had never truly felt it for himself. Only now experiencing it firsthand, while holding his own child, did he profoundly realize just how roused the bond of bloods, related family truly was. I used to hear Ross Visser talk about this. I never thought it was true. The warm atmosphere in the room did not last long. The clever and quick-witted Noah seemed to suddenly remember something important. Her eyes lit up at once, and her face turned full of excitement. Oh right, Mom, Dad, little sister doesn't have a name yet, does she? Let's give little sister a name. It was obvious she had already been thinking about this for a long time, and had long prepared a special name in her heart. Her face was full of eager excitement. My name comes from a homophone of Noah, the ancient hero of the dragon race. So little sis should have a hero's name too. Blazer, how about that? The moment Moon heard that, she immediately shook her head hard again and again. With her little face straight and serious, she judged that her sister's suggested name sounded like the name of Asadij. My name means moon, so little sis should be called Star. Blazer, Star. The two argued for ages without reaching a winner. Then they both ran to Leon's side.